Jane Mitchell is a spokesperson for Athena Win, and she is in our Gillespie Group store studio this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Mike.
You will be watching some different celestial bodies tonight.
We will. Athena Win, which is the Women's Interest Network group here in Lansing, it's one of the premier networking groups in the Lansing area, is going to be holding an event out at Celebration Cinema tonight. We're going to have open networking starting at 5, and then at 6:45 we're going to be watching the show up from the Hubble telescope.
Hubble 3D, is that what it's called?
Correct.
The Hubble 3D movie, and you're going to have a special speaker, and he's sitting right next to you.
Yes.
That is our very special guest this morning, Frank Summers, an astrophysicist at the Space Telescope Science Institute. That's in Baltimore. Writer, science advisor, and you'll be the speaker tonight for Hubble 3D. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Welcome to Michigan. Have you been here before?
I've been here once about 13 years ago for my sister's wedding, but I came out for a vacation, was exploring up north this time, visited Burt Lake. It's absolutely wonderful.
Good place to see the stars, huh?
A very good place. I took my daughter out onto the dock, and we were looking at stars one evening.
Yeah, and Northern Lights, too, I'm told, are very active this summer, for whatever that's worth.
Didn't get to see any of those this time.
Let me ask you this. This is something that has always freaked me out since I first heard it, and I want to find out if it's accurate, because I sometimes think about it.
Okay.
When you were on the dock with your daughter and you're looking at the stars, we all do that when we get a chance to see the sky. And you look at the stars, and you say, wow, that star is as far from the star next to it as we are from it. That's mind-boggling because we could never get to that star in our lifetimes traveling at the speed of light, right?
Well, the stars that you see in the night sky are generally, tens to hundreds of light years away.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the human eye can only see stars so faint, and so about the most distant star you're going to see is about 1,000 light years away. So even traveling at the speed of light, it would take 1,000 years to get to all the stars that you can see.
I don't have 1,000 years, you know?
Unfortunately, neither do I.
So this
But
is the
there
mind.
are a couple stars that are nearby that are only 10 light years away. And
Reachable.
So if we could travel at the speed of light, you or I could get to the nearest stars, which include Alpha Centauri and Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky.
That's the dog star, right?
Yes.
The big one. So let's take two stars, for instance, that are on the handle of the Big Dipper, maybe.
Okay.
Are they reachable?
I'm not exactly sure how far away the stars in the Big Dipper are, but they're probably tens to maybe 100 light years away.
Okay.
Most of them aren't. You're not going to be able to get to. Only a handful. I think there are around 200 stars within about 10 light years or 20 light years.
But yet, with one little adjustment of the eye, I can see a distance between those two stars, the two faint ones, that I could never travel in my lifetime if I started right now with technology that doesn't exist.
Well, what's even more is if you go out to a really dark place and you look in the constellation of Andromeda, you can see a fuzzy patch there. It's 2.5 million light years away. It's the galaxy Andromeda. And so the most distant thing the human eye can see without the aid of a telescope is something that light has been traveling for 2.5 million years before it gets to your eye. So we're seeing that galaxy not as it is today, but as it was 2.5 million years ago.
We're looking back in time.
Exactly.
See how these things can keep me awake at night?
That's what keeps us astronomers up at night.
Is it naive to think that there isn't life somewhere out there in a space that big?
The probabilities can be worked either way.
Yeah.
And it hinges a lot on what we don't know, on our ignorance. Because we do know that there are 100 billion stars in our own galaxy. And there are perhaps 100 billion galaxies in the universe. So that's a lot of stars. And we've now, since 1993, started discovering planets around other stars.
Mm-hmm.
And so planets seem to be pretty common around other stars. So with all those stars and all those planets, you might be tempted to say, well, of course there's got to be life, right? The question is, how easily does life arise? And we're not really sure of that. I've got a biologist friend of mine who says that there's life everywhere in the universe, but 99% of it is green slime.
Mm-hmm.
Because he feels that getting to those very basic basic life is simple, but getting to complex life, he's not sure whether that is easy or not.
How did we do that?
We don't know. We can look at our record and try and understand it, but we've not gotten the secret as to what goes on. Really.
Do you believe in God?
No, I don't.
You don't think that it was God that propelled us maybe beyond the green slime to where we are?
No.
No.
I really have learned an awful lot about the way the universe works and the power of time, really. You recognize that life on Earth was single-celled for about 3 billion years. And we didn't produce the multicellular organisms until about 1.2 billion years ago. And that cooperation, the taking one cell, working with another cell to become an organism, that really was a linchpin in terms of getting life moving on Earth. We talk about the Cambrian explosion 600 million years ago, going from 1.2 billion years ago, going from single cell to multicellular life, and then 600 million years of the Cambrian explosion, the greatest plethora of life just coming onto this planet. You can see how it's sort of snowball effect once you get cooperation working. And that's sort of a lesson for us that life has learned to cooperate in a cellular level. We should learn to cooperate on the human level.
Do you know, it's amazing when we talk about, like, I've been to a number of space shuttle launches. We broadcast from the most recent one at Easter time. We're just barely putting our toe in the water. I mean, even that is more than what we're doing with our space exploration. And it's a big deal. It costs a lot of money, and it's dangerous, and it's a big event, and we're barely even scratching the surface.
Yeah, we have been as far as the moon. And we talked about the light being, light years away. Well, the moon is only 1 light second away.
Yeah.
So it's seconds versus years in terms of the distance to the moon, the distance to the stars. But we've got to keep...
I mean, there's no metaphor. I mean, I could say that I'm going to travel to Australia by taking one step out of this chair, and that still doesn't even, I'm guessing, proportionally indicate how far we've been into space.
Yeah, it's close. It's not a bad metaphor.
What do you think of these people that are trying to send people into space through private industry to take a ride up there in a spaceship?
I think it's the next logical progression of space. You have to have nationalized space first because that's the only where you're going to be able to get the initial funding for it. But once it starts being able to be a private enterprise, I support that private enterprise can start to take it on, of course, with proper safety precautions, because it is, as you said, very dangerous.
Are you discouraged that we don't know what the next form of human space flight will be after the space shuttle, which concludes, I guess, this fall?
Well...
Isn't that weird that they wouldn't have had something ready by now for the next phase?
You cover politics better than I do, so you understand.
All it takes is money.
I do, however, think the conversations that we're having are really good because they are looking at what they want to do and the various ways they're going to be able to do it. When it was announced that we were going to have the Constellation program, we as astronomers held symposium and conferences on, well, all right, if this is the future direction of NASA, how can we best use it for our science?
Mm-hmm.
And then we gave them feedback in terms of how that program would work. And now that it's changing a bit again, we are giving them constant feedback as to how to get the most science for their dollars that they are putting into the manned program and how the two can work together. Because the public really supports the manned program as well as the science program. So we have to keep...
Do we really need people up there? Do we need human beings in space to get the job done? Doesn't sound like it.
Well, if you're only doing science, if you're just purely trying to do science, you're not going to send a human to Jupiter. So you have to send a space probe to Jupiter to study it. So for that aspect. However, the public really has strong support for the manned space program.
Because it's exciting.
The sense of adventure and the sense of somewhat manifest destiny as we've explored our planet. Where's the next place to explore? Well, look up into space.
President Bush talked about sending a man to Mars by 2020. I don't think that's going to happen, do you?
I don't think that's going to happen. That wasn't realistic.
Okay. Have you ever been up to Mauna Kea? I'm guessing you have, in Hawaii.
Unfortunately, no. I haven't been to Mauna Kea. I've been to several observatories, but not been so lucky to get there.
You know, it's astonishing. I did go up there, and I couldn't believe my eyes. You drive up, I think, to 9,000 feet, have a public observatory, and it was above the clouds that night. And I couldn't believe my eyes as to how many stars there were in the sky. And, and then, like, you can look now. If there were 10 here, up on Mauna Kea, there were 10,000. I had no idea they were there till I got to a spot like that where I could see that.
I did the same thing with my son. We went out to the center of Yosemite Valley, and I said, all right, now look up and see the stars. And he had never seen the Milky Way, the swath of stars across the sky. That's our galaxy. He had never seen that before, and it's just amazing. And even as a professional astronomer, I was losing my sense of perspective because I have a lot of the constellations memorized, and I couldn't recognize them because there were so many background stars that I wasn't used to seeing in Baltimore.
What now? As I understand it, we got about a minute left. The Hubble telescope allows us to see farther because it's outside of the Earth's atmosphere.
Right, it's up-
It's an extreme example of standing on Mauna Kea. Only this time you're looking from space.
You get above the blurring effects of Earth atmosphere, so Hubble has the clearest view of any optical telescope.
See anything you didn't expect to see yet with Hubble?
Oh, we saw an incredible number of things we didn't expect to
Yeah.
see.
Wow.
With Hubble, we've been able to show the existence of black holes. We've been able to measure stars exploding in galaxies that are 7 billion light years away, and from that measure the expansion of the universe to such a precision that we can say that it's actually now not slowing down, it's actually speeding up. We've got an incredible amount of science simply because we have a general purpose observatory up above the atmosphere that can be tasked to do science projects that weren't even in existence when Hubble was launched in 1990.
Will you root for Miss USA in the Miss Universe pageant tonight?
Sure, why not?
Why not? I hope so too. What time is the event tonight and where?
It starts at Celebration Cinemas, and it starts with open networking at 5 p.m. And then we will go, and Dr. Summers will be speaking during that, and then we go into the movie at 6:45.
And will everybody come out sort of freaked out?
No, you're going to come out amazed,
Amazed.
at the wonder and the gorgeousness of the universe.
That sounds great. Hubble 3D. Thank you very much and welcome back to Michigan.
Thank you.
Nice to see you and thank you very
Thank you.
much. Tonight, Hubble 3D at Celebration Cinema, 35 after the hour.
I've been around and I've seen it. The higher you get, the harder they let you down. You pay your dues. It seems